lesbian stereotypes. And I wanted to talk about a few that clearly are not true, and kind of like give you my thoughts on them. I've been trying to make videos about like what I like most about being in a lesbian relationship, but every time I turn the camera on and I start talking, I just realize that it just sounds very like sexist and like gender specific, and I'm very like I don't believe in gender stereotypes. I believe that anybody can act any way that they want. So for me, it's just kind of like, it's like I know what I'm trying to say, I know I'm trying to explain myself, I know that like I'm trying to make it sound like as less sexist as I can, but it just doesn't matter what I say. It just sounded so, I'm like, you know, I just don't think this is the right video to make, because, and it's not like everybody would be getting offended, it's just like I don't want people to think like, oh, you know. And then for me too, it's just hard for me to like kind of talk about that and kind of compare, because for me, like, I'm straight up lesbian, like I don't fuck with men, I don't do any of that stuff. So for me, like, I just feel like maybe that conversation is better. It's just, I don't know if it's really ever a good topic to talk about, just because it's just like those kind of topics just sound so stereotypical, and I just was not feeling it. So I think I'm gonna make a video specifically on things that I love about Ashley, because the thing is, like, everybody's different, and that'll just be up on Valentine's Day. So yeah, I'll do that. But today I wanted to finally try and make a video about lesbian stereotypes. Obviously this video is going to be basically the ones that I feel are untrue and are basically just either just brood or just stupid as fuck. So yeah, so I'm getting my information off of HuffPost.com. That's where I'm looking right now. So the first one, I don't agree with this statement, because it does sound pretty sexist. And I'll read it to you what it says, but I'm gonna kind of reword it to what I think it should say. Because it says, let's start with the lesbian stereotypes that are perpetuated and driven by men. So I've already read these, and I don't agree that men are like the main ones that drive this, because the thing is, like, I've heard a lot of women say this too. Like, it's not even, I've probably 50-50 almost been told by men and women, 50-50, that, you know, some of these things that I'm going to read. So I don't believe that it's driven by men. I just believe everybody can just say it. So, yeah. And a couple of these statements have been kind of said by more on one side than the other, but I'll explain that. So here we go. So the first one is, men molested us as children, and that turned us into lesbians. So this statement I have heard from both, basically equally, from men and women. They have told me this. Basically, they think that because I was raped, that's why I'm lesbian, because I was raped by a man. But I hate to burst people's bubbles here, but I was also molested by a female, so a couple times in my life. So if that was the case, then I would just be not having sex with nobody. I mean, that's the thing, you know, like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if that was the case, if it was because of rape, then I would, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying there aren't people out there that don't kind of go more to that side because of a reason like that, but I have known since I was really little, even before I was molested or raped, that I was into females, because when I was like in elementary school and you start kind of having like your first crushes and all that stuff, I started having crushes on girls. So I knew like when I was 6 that I started kind of not fitting in with what all the other girls liked. So yeah, that's a false. Second one is lesbians hate men. I know that there are lesbians that hate men. I know that there are women that hate men, straight women. But that's just preference. I mean, that's just like bullshit that they hold on to. I used to be one of those people because of the stuff that I went through, and I used to like hate men because I like never felt like I had like really good male figures in my life. So I just did not like to be around them. I didn't want to associate with them. But obviously after I kind of matured and I kind of coped with why I felt that way, I definitely don't feel like that anymore. So yeah, I just think that's just a person thing. I don't think obviously it's not like a whole lesbian thing. It says in every lesbian couple, one has to be the man. So I don't ever say the man because clearly we are in a lesbian relationship for a reason, because we don't want a man. I do say that at times in lesbian relationships, one can be more dominant, but dominant isn't really a gender thing though. Like dominance is just someone who takes control of a situation. Yeah, basically. So, but that's not really a gender thing, because I've known women that are very dominant and they take control of like everything. So clearly that's not a gender thing, even though people want to make it a gender thing. So I always say that, you know, but for me and Ashley personally, we're not dominant of each other. We're both equal when it comes to basically everything. I would say I'm probably a little bit more protective and like, not like protective, but I don't know, like I do kind of take the, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like I don't know. I mean, I act more masculine in the relationship and more dominant a little bit, but for the most part with everything, we're really equal with stuff. So yeah, that's not true. And it's the same with, you know, there's two lipsticks in a relationship. It's the same thing. You know, they're definitely so feminine, so clearly no. And then the last one, which is very irritating, and this one I actually, personal preference, I've heard it from women, but I would say like maybe like 60-40. I've heard a little bit more from men with this statement, but I have heard it from women a lot. So the last one is lesbians just haven't been with the right guy yet. I heard this one a lot, honestly. And I think that's what's like irritating about it, is like people always want to ask like, how did you know you were gay? And like the first thing I want to say, and it's not even me trying to be like an asshole or trying to be like rude or anything like that, but like the first thing that I want to say is like, when did you know you were straight? And then they just like don't know what to say. It's like, okay, well, you know, at the same time, it's like, I understand people are just curious, and I know like a lot of people, they don't do it to be malicious. And I don't do it to be malicious back. I ask a question. I'm like, well, how did you know you were straight? I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you know, like I knew I was into women the same time that a lot of people or a lot of kids are figuring out their sexuality. And I just think like people just aren't like educated on it, to be honest. And I just feel like people are very like, they just think that being gay is just this like, not like necessarily a weird thing, but just like not a normal thing. Like it's just like, it's just something different. It's like a minority kind of thing. So I just feel like people like just don't know how to say things. Like I don't really get offended unless, you know, you blatantly call me a dyke and then I'm gonna like punch you in your fucking face. But I mean, I don't know. I just like, I get it. People are confused and they don't know. But for me, like, it's kind of like, what I like to tell people is, you know, when people tell me that, they're like, well, you just haven't been with the right guy yet. And it's like, okay, well, you didn't have, like, if a woman tells me that and they're straight, I'm not like, obviously only straight people tell me that, but I'd be like, well, you didn't have to, like, you didn't have to have sex with a guy to know you were straight. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to kiss a guy, you didn't have to hold their hand, you didn't have to, like, do any of that to know that you were straight. You just felt that way. And it's the same thing with us. Like, we don't have to, like, for me, like, for lesbians, we don't have to have sex with a female. We don't have to kiss them. We don't have to hold their hand. We don't have to do any of that to know that that's what we're attracted to. You know, it's like we see a female that we find attractive and there you go. It's like, it's the same thing if you're straight and you're a straight female and you see a guy and they're like your type of dude and you're just like, what's up? Like, it's the same thing. Like, everybody has a preference, everybody's attracted to somebody, and it's the same thing. Like, but I just get aggravated because I'm like, why do you think that we have to have sex with girls to know that we're gay? Because the thing is, you don't have to have sex with a guy to know you're straight, or a male with a female. Like, you don't have to know you have sex with a girl to know that you're straight. I'm like, you just know. And it's like, you don't have to experiment. So it's like, okay, if you guys don't have to experiment, then why is it that we do? Why is it that gay guys have to? It just doesn't make any sense. So that's just something that kind of aggravates me, because it's like, and I try not to get aggravated. I try to, like, understand where people are coming from, but, like, for me, I just don't, like, I don't know, I just don't have patience for it sometimes, because I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's definitely one that I hear a lot, and it's like, I mean, I think, to be honest, I feel like Ashley probably hears it a lot more than I do. But yeah, so I'm gonna make a couple parts to this because I don't obviously want it to be like super long. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.